But yeah, I'm interested in upgrading this into a larger tank. I kind of want a square peninsula, and for sure, that's going to have an automatic filter roll.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw it on your, I'll call it your community freshwater.
Yep.
It was really just a eureka moment of why are the filter roll folks not, I mean, maybe they are, I could be wrong, but why aren't they marketing more against the freshwater crowd? Because, I mean, it's super great for a freshwater system, where I feel like mechanical filtration and taking that load off your biofilter is much more beneficial. Now, planted tanks, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Especially you go wall stats, simple, you let the nutrients go crazy, that's a different story, but.
So this is one of 2 peninsula tanks, and when I first stepped into the space here at the studio, I knew I wanted a peninsula against this pillar and a peninsula against that pillar. So this is some of like the most fleshed out tanks here at the studio. You know, I'm here all the time, and this is my flagship reef tank. So it's all Ecotech marine gear, all Bright Wheel Aquatics additives, which that's what I use mostly for almost everything at the studio is Bright Wheel Aquatics. Okay. But I have a lot of Worldwide Coral strains. But this was really modeled kind of after the Worldwide Corals. I don't know how to describe it, but a lot of different corals, like a super high diversity, lots of coral frags everywhere. And you'll see, again, it's sand free. There's 4 bommies, 4 large bommies. We've got 4 Radion XR30 Gen 4 Pros that I want to switch up to 5 XR15 Gen 5 Pros. And also lower it down. But you know, I've got my custom made little thingy right here, so it makes it really easy to adjust the height of the lights. Yeah. Which just keeps everything super clean. The water flow is provided by 2 MP60s on the end, so once again, we're sticking with the kind of the hidden, or at least ninja pump motif. And,
yeah, and the flow is great. I mean, I know peninsulas are really hard to get good flow in, right?
Yeah.
But it looks great. I mean, you know, looking at these Gonioperas just flowing in the current, even on the Stylophora, you know, you can see every once in a while the polyps get like that little surge going.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So yeah, let's see, what do we have in here? We got a little grouping of Cyphastras here. This is the original meteor shower, right? And then this would be over here, this would be more like a new style. So this one's really green with orange polyps, and when this one's like a little bit more teal with red polyps, and then a little bit more of the branching Cyphastria decadia. Yep. This Durasa clam is not going to be in this tank too much longer. He's just too big for the tank. You know, he just fills that space and he walks around and like bumps into stuff. We got a little torch section, little torch coral section. This is a Bizarro Cyphastria here.
You even got a little Xenia going, man. A little red sea
pom-pom.
Yeah, the
Xenia is actually our Aptasia. Like, we're trying to eradicate it, but since I've really been like bumping up the nutrients lately, it has really exploded in growth. We've got the, you know, definitely like the flower part garden here. And there's 2 more flower pots on the other side, but I knew when I added these true wild Porcula clowns that's where they would, you know, host up, which is really, really close to my desk, so I can see them really well.
You get so used to seeing the captive bred ones that, you know, once you see just the perfection of wild types, you know, the I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but just the geometrics of their mouth and their eyes, everything, and even the scales on them. I mean, like, there's no, I don't know how to describe it, but there's something about a wild type Porcula that just does the captive bred ones in my opinion. I'm glad they're not mass collected the way they used to. I'm glad the captive bred thing has really taken off. But every once in a while, I mean, it's the same with freshwater fish, right? Every once in a while you see a wild one and it's just a different story.
So yeah, what else? So there's a lot of manicuring that needs to happen to this particular aquarium that I haven't done yet, because I want to feature the reef tank before I do some trimming, right? So here we have the Joe Dirt, kind of a thin branch acro. What I'd like to do is cut off the really fast growing part, and then cut down the base, and then glue the good growing part back down on the base. Same thing with the Worldwide Corals yellow tip. And then the red dragon also needs to be reset. It just kind of grew out of proportion. It was in there before a lot of other corals, and so it just kind of grew like crazy. So I want to hack that guy down and let him grow back out.
But is your goal eventually just to have these staghorns fill that void, or would that be a flow issue down the road?
I don't know, but I want them to be in proportion with each other, right?
Yeah.
I don't want this giant.
You got this big. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So again, with this guy, I want to cut off that main, thin branching part, cut down at the bottom, and glue him onto his own base.
And I see what you mean about the Xenia now from this angle.
Yeah. No, we definitely did a lot of work. Right in front of you, you'll see the Palauistrea. And there you can really appreciate that it's not a stylus.
Right here, yeah.
Yep. So that's the Palauistrea. Above it, you can see a little bit more colorful Stylophora. And then we got a green, the super green, I think maybe Project X, I don't remember what Jason Fox called it. Milka behind it. There's a bug out behind that, a little bit more of a rainbow. But yeah, one thing that I have avoided in this tank, and I've tried to do with every tank, is to hide all the water pumps on one end, right? But I do believe that in the future, I'm gonna have to route some cabling here and put 2 pumps over here, because you can see that because the flow is kind of only comes from one direction, the corals are kind of like growing with the wind per se. So we'll go ahead and feed these guys a little bit, and then we can talk about the fish. We've got 2 yellow tangs, started with 5, and they evicted 1, and then another, and then another, and then now we're down to 2. We've got the purple tang, the flame flim tomini, we got the gem tang, and then this is a used blue tang that I got for cheap, just a used fish at the local fish store. And then the mollies, man, those are some of the oldest original fish here at the studio.
I love, because I mean, I haven't kept score, but it feels like you have mollies in every reef tank or in every system, which they're great, right? I mean, you turned me on to them. I have one in one of my coral systems, and it's great little algae eater. I'm tempted to put them in my sump because I do the whole refugium thing, Caulerpa scrubber. But I'm having some turf algae outcompete the Caulerpa, so I thought, well, maybe I'll throw some mollies down there and they'll chow down on the turfy stuff.
I'm kind of due for a refresh of mollies, because they do have an attrition rate and they don't last forever. The males always die out first. The females last forever, but the males die out first. But I am feeding a lot more than I used to, so I'm sure that is helping. But yeah, so one thing you'll notice that their frags on the bottom, and besides like the gonies, they're auditioning to go up on the reefscape, right?
Gotcha.
So I put them on the ground, test them out. You know, the chalice, they're gonna stay growing over there.
Yeah.
But like frags like this and this and this, they're auditioning on the bottom until they find a permanent home in the tank. And just to show you what's happening in here, this is the dosing. So we've got the 4-pack of Versa pumps. Got Continuum, big old reservoir right there. We've got calcium magnesium buffer, and then Acro Power.
That's a great dosing container, by the way. It looks like something Ecotech would make, you know?
Right, I picked it up because it was it is white with blue trim, right? That's the whole motif of the entire studio. And then here is the sump. Again, super duper simple. We've got the L1 for the return, a 3D printed dosing line holder, dedicated calc reactor, and then the MaxSpec Air Aqua Duo. And one of my favorite things about this particular system is the water box has doors on both sides. Man.
That's great.
It's just like that suicide door where if you hit it, you just have more access. You can always. There's the buffer. But yeah, incredibly simple. So simple that right here in this chamber, I have the freshwater canister filter.
I'm just a little disappointed there's no red dragon, red PVC plumbing anywhere, you know? Just kidding.
I mean, it's not a thing on Road Exclusive per se, but...
the simplicity of it to me that I love.
Yeah, the plumbing is just fine. I don't look down here that often.
So did this skimmer come with a float switch? Does MaxSpec build it like that?
So the MaxSpec Air Aqua Duo comes with a float switch, which should be standard with all DC-powered protein skimmer. And so when we want to clean it, we can literally just pull this out, trip the float switch, and it'll just shut off.
Oh, it just sits in there. That's brilliant.
Yeah, you
And I
know,
like
it's
the,
one
does
it's
this
one.
pull out, this cup removal thing?
Yeah, it just switches over.
Okay.
So the cup just has like this little latch going on.
Okay.
Bada boom.
So you don't
and
have to deal with like unscrewing or
No.
anything crazy like that.
nothing crazy like that. And what's funny is like the filter socks are mostly for quieting, right? They're not exactly
Yeah.
for filtration. They're literally just to quiet things down. We usually have a little foam sponge right here. But yeah, this is one tank that I wouldn't mind having some a mechanical filter roll on.
Would you just use the same sump and cut that out and put it in?
Yeah, just haven't gotten around to it. It's just, it's not the highest priority. This tank
Yeah.
stays really clean.
No, it's just, I love the simplicity of it all.
All right, well, let's check out the last tank setup here at the studio. Sorry,
this.
this is the first tank that was set up at the studio, but this is the last one we're featuring. So if you've made it this far, and what's probably turning out to be a two-part series on the tour of the studio, you'll understand that me and Mark, we've been at this for a while, so we're pretty winded, but you'll understand why we don't do like an aquarium tour of the studio that often, but hopefully if you made it this far, you'll appreciate how this tank has really come along. So it started out as a Montipore only tank.